Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, today, Priti Patel will tell migrants that she will be sending some of them off to Rwanda. And Priti Patel, she is absolutely fabulous. The woman, the brilliance that the woman has shown. Because understand this, she is smart, you are stupid. She is racist, and so are you. But that's not the point. The point is this. There's around, they've already told us they're going to send around 300 of the migrants that are across. They're going to send around 300 off to Rwanda. Now, there are around 7,000 that cross every year on little boats, right? And they like to call them illegal, but obviously you can't be illegal, right, until they've checked out your circumstances, right? Until they've looked into the reason why you've come to this country, right? You can't be illegal. It's impossible, right? You can only be illegal once you've gone through the system. So, with around 7,000 coming over, what would you say would be the percentage, right, of people that they would eventually find actually you don't have a right to be in this country, so we're not going to give you the right to stay eventually, because obviously they've got to go through the system for that. So eventually, what do you think that would be? 5%, 10%? So if we say between 5 and 10%, let's just go with the higher number. Let's say 10%. So that makes 700 people. So can you see the brilliance in Priti Patel's plan here? Because she's just doing this to throw red meat at the stupid fools from the right wing. Because out of 7,000 people, right, that claim asylum, yeah, there's going to be a percentage of them that the government's going to refuse them. So if you think about it logically, right, what Priti Patel is actually doing, right, is she's doing nothing. Because those people probably would have been told, well, you haven't got a right to be here anyway. I mean, you don't have, there's no family here, you have no connections here, and whatever the situation is, you say, well, you have no connection to be here, so you can't be here. So can you see the brilliance in that? Because now, right, it makes it look to the right wing as if to say Boris Johnson and Priti Patel are actually trying to do something about the crossings, illegal crossings they like to call them, but they're not illegal. Right? But it looks like, it makes it look as if to say, oh well, look at them, they're brilliant. They're sending black and brown people off to Rwanda. If we're lucky, one of them might come back as the new Doctor Who in the next 5 years. And how much regenerations has he had? Because someone said, I'm sure someone said a message say 14 regenerations, and it's just about time he turned black after 14 regenerations. So I don't. Is that how much there's been? 14 Doctor Who's? I don't know, because I haven't watched Doctor Who for years. Right, but right with the Rwanda, right, as I said, Priti Patel, what a woman, right? That dumpy little racist fool, right, has just played you guys, yeah, like the proverbial banjo. Seriously, yeah, I just think she's fantastic. Right, that's all I can say. She's a racist little motherfucker, but she's fantastic. And also, welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me. And a special thanks to everyone who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up. So thank you so much for that. I'll go through all the messages. I'll answer as many as I can. But I will like all the messages for definite. So today, well, last night, Starmer just said, you know what? I'm just going to throw the gauntlet down, right? If I get fined, right, I'm going to resign. And Angela Rayner said, yeah, me too. I'm going to resign too. And everyone from the left was like, oh no, not Angela Rayner. I mean, I'm not a Starmer fan, right? Because, I just think that Starmer's, are just another Tony Blair type. Labour leader, and that's not what I don't think that's not helpful to the left of the Labour Party, because the left of the Labour Party get all the blame for what Tony Blair done. And if you had a left leaning leader, yeah, they would have never went to war with Iraq. Right, so Tony Blair, he ruined the Labour Party. Even though he won 3 elections, he literally ruined the Labour Party for the left wing, because people look at that and say, well, the left and the right, they're just the same, right? When it comes down to going to war and things like that, because when Tony Blair went to war, most people from the left was like, what the fuck are you doing over it? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not as if to say, So that's the reason why I'm not. And then obviously, remember again, right? He did vote for the Brexit deal, and any politician who voted for the Brexit deal is a damn idiot, right? And I don't vote for idiots, right? Idiots, idiot, right? Any one of the right, anyhow you want to call it, or idiot. I don't vote for those people, right? If you're a fool, I'm not going to vote for a fool. No way to your Jose's. Right. So any politician who voted for the Brexit deal, right, will never ever get my vote, right, ever, right, because they are stupid. They are ridiculously foolish individuals, right, and for anybody, right, for anybody apart from Boris Johnson and the people and his followers, for anybody else to have voted for that deal, seriously, you don't deserve to be in Parliament, because you're stupid. You're thick. You're look how much businesses that you have put out of business in this country. Look what you've done to Ireland. So that's the reason why. Do you know what I mean? I'm not big on Starmer, but I will say, right, that Starmer is a very impressive figure, right, when it comes down to him, how he just said, I will resign if I'm found to be fine, if I'm fined, right? Now, people think, well, Jack, put pressure on Boris Johnson. Don't put no pressure on Boris Johnson, because Boris Johnson, right, is one of those people who has no shame. And if you have no shame, right, it doesn't matter what people say about you, right, and you'll just plow on. And I don't care, because you're a narcissist and you have no shame, and you have very limited conscience. So that's the reason why someone could mention about the old lady 77 years old riding around on a bus to keep warm, and the only thing Boris Johnson's got to that is, well, I had something to do with that, the free OAP bus passes or whatever, right? So that's the type of answer. That's the only answer he can give, because he's trying to be a mixture of witty and probably compassionate. But there's no compassion in there, and there's no wit in there, right? So that's what he thinks. He thought, come back with something like that. Oh, I'm just quick-witted. Look at that. I'm so quick with it. And even though, right, he said something that's completely ridiculous and insensitive, he still knows that his fans will be like, oh, he's all right. Don't worry about that. So Boris Johnson will never say, well, whether or not, but the Tory MPs now, right? I mean, they've got to look for an angle now to attack Kier Starmer on this. I mean, they've gone with the angle that he's trying to put pressure on the police. Okay. What? See, because that doesn't even make any sense. That you would throw, and then they said, oh well, that Durham police come out and said, well, we don't retrospectively, charge people with COVID crimes. Right? But I don't think that's really the point, because if they said, well, there has been offences committed, right, but we're not going to charge because we don't retrospectively charge people. So, okay, but at that point, right, Kier Starmer would have to consider his position, right? And talking about him considering his position, right? On the weekend, Diane Abbott was being interviewed. So they said to her, what would happen with Kier Starmer if he got a fine from the police? So Diane Abbott said, well, he'd have to reconsider his position. And then, right, so I was watching on Twitter to see what was going on, and people phoning the radio, right? And the amount of people that was coming and saying, well, with friends like her, who needs enemies? right? She's just stabbing him in the back. I said, well, hold on a minute. First of all, right, is it these people? Because I had to reply to quite a few people. So, is it your point that you prefer politicians to lie to you? You want your politicians to dance around the issue, because so far over the whole Beargate, all the Labour politicians was dancing around the issue and saying, oh well, Boris Johnson, and saying, well, no. Diane Abbott said, well, he would have to so isn't that what you want in your politician? Because politicians, right, are supposed to be right honourable, not right Herbert, right hoodlum. Right, that's not what the RH stands for. It stands for right honourable, right, which means that there's supposed to be people, right, who tell you the truth when they talk to you. Right, far too many people are prepared to put up with politicians that lie to them. Right, and when Diane Abbott just comes out and says, no, listen, that's what, and now all of a sudden, right, Kier Starmer's come out and said, well, listen, I will resign, and all of them have fallen behind that and said, well, he's offered to resign if this is the case. I mean, he said that's what he would do, right? So that's what we think. And said, well, why does he have to say it before you stand up and say, well, if he's found to have been fined, then he needs to resign, because we have been banging on to the Tories, right, about Boris Johnson. So if he's found, right, then he needs to resign. Fair, it's just straight like that. I don't understand why all these people are attacking Diane Abbott, right, for being the first one to come out and say, oh, it's because she's a fan of Jeremy Corbyn. And even Jeremy Corbyn was dancing around the issue as well. He was still, even though he's not in Labour, he was still towing the Labour line. And that's what we get from the Tories. We get that from the Tories all the time. We see with our own eyes, yeah, the fuck ups that Boris Johnson makes. We see these things all the time. We witness it with our own eyes, and then we've got a line of Tory MPs to tell us, yeah, your eyes are deceiving you. It's a mirage, right? Don't believe your eyes, right? And then they say to you, but believe the hype. Remember, Public Enemy said, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Believe your eyes, not the hype. Right? But they always out there to let you know, no. That's not what happened. Boris Johnson didn't do that. This wasn't. We've all seen him lie to Parliament, and they're telling us, and they're dancing around the issue, right? And imagine if you went into a police station, right, and told and you'd done some of the stuff that Boris Johnson had done, right, and then you was telling the police, and the police was like, but you're lying. They would just tell you straight, you are a liar, and they'll charge you with those crimes, and they'll charge you and fling your ass in prison. But we've got all these politicians dancing around all this bollocks that Boris Johnson does do all the time, and the Labour MPs was all doing that until, right, Kier Starmer himself come out and said, well, I will resign if I'm found to have broken the law or COVID rules. It was the law at the time, though. Well, whatever it was. For the first time in 59 years, the Queen will not attend the state opening of Parliament. All that pomp and pageantry, right? And, just watch, right, all of the money, right? And then you're going to have a lot of working class and poor people watching it and waving their little flags, right? But all of the money, right, that's spent on this shit, while we've got women who are 77 years old riding around on buses to keep warm, or disabled people outside the KFC begging for food. But let's have some pomp and pageantry to have the state opening of Parliament, where the government are going to announce a load of bullshit, right, that no one's interested in. Because there's going to be nothing about no help for the peoples. Right, apparently they're going to go after protesters who are sticking themselves to who stick themselves down with super glue or whatever it is they use to stick themselves down to the floor or down to doors or or on top of trains, wherever they stick themselves. Right, they want to give them all 12 months in prison now. And say, well, seriously, because they haven't got enough. Apparently they haven't got enough powers to do all these things. But the problem is, right, the police have got all these powers, because if they didn't have these powers, right, then right now there would be a load of people, right, all over the country stuck to stuff. You know, there'd be someone still stuck to the front door of the Shell building, right, with their hand stuck there. Right, or they'll just say, you know what we're going to do is we're going to remove the door and put it in storage, and you can stay with the door. Right, you know, or we'd be driving around people on the streets who have got their hands stuck to the floor, right, because the police haven't got enough laws to remove them. The police have already had more than enough laws here to remove like protesters and break up you know, protests and all these things. They've already had all those laws in place, and all of this is just like another set of red meat that they're throwing out to, I don't know who to. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, a lot of the you know, nowadays a lot of protesters are going to be, you know, you're going to have people from the left and the right mixing on certain issues. You know, so you know, it just depends on what, you know, on what type of crowds you've got. But, you know, they're trying to bring in laws, right, that they've already got, which is just kind of just like stupid and ridiculous. And I don't know if you've heard of Lady Moan, right, who was appointed by David Cameron. Right, and her house was raided the other day, right, by the National Crime Agency, right, which is Britain's answer to the FBI, I think, or something like that. Right, but they went in there and bust off her door, right, because she had a £200 million, right, PPE contract, right. So obviously she has committed some type of fraud, because obviously, you know, that's what all of these guys done with that, right, because all they done, right, was they was allowed, if they knew someone in, like, you know, one of the lords or one, you know, or someone in Parliament, right, obviously on the Tory side, they could just get in contact with that person and say, listen, I got a little PPE company now, yeah, we just set up 5 minutes ago, right, can you give us some money? And they say, yeah, you have 200 million. Get us some PP. I believe all her PP is in with a lot of the other PP that's being stored for £500,000 a day. But, you know, so that's all the contract was. Just, yeah, don't worry about anything else, right? Just set yourself up with a little PPE name, right? You know, just call yourself like let's just call closet PPE, right? Or, you know, or high road PPE. Right? Or let's train PPE, right? Whatever. So just set up your little company, right? And we'll just send you some money. Very good. So that's what happened, right? I think yeah, out of the 200 million, I can't be certain yet, but I think out of the 200 million, I think she spent something like 37 million on PPE that couldn't be used. So you can see what's happened. I think it's something like that. You know, it could be 137 million, which would still be, right, disgusting. But I'm sure it's something like 37 billion that she bought in PPE, and I'm sure that most of it couldn't be used. Over, I don't know. I'm going to just guess some figures now, but I believe over 80% of it could not be used, of the PPE that she bought, because all they done was they just done what you and I could have done. Just went on the internet and looked up companies in places like China and Malaysia, right, that had PPE, and that was it. And so, oh, and they just send them the money, they send them the PPE. But a lot of times they were sending them just obviously stuff that they've just got hanging around in the storeroom, right? Because it's like, yeah, how much they want? £10 million worth. Okay then. Right, we'll just send them. How much we've got? We've got £20 million in gloves that are all like left-handed. So could we send them a load of those? Right? So that's the type of shit that was going on. So this Lady Moan, right, seems to have got herself in quite a bit of trouble, and we're going to see where her situation goes. I hope her situation ends up with her ass in prison, because that's what should really happen to her. And David Cameron should have some questions to answer. And we've got the DUP, right, have collapsed Stormont, right, because, right, they're still chucking their dummy out of the pram, right, even though, right, the alliance, because you know the alliance, right, because really, I don't think Sinn Féin really moved that much. Obviously, Sinn Féin just, you know, just kept their they seem to have kept hold of their support, right? And so the alliance has come up. They might have tripped a little bit off of Sinn Féin, but they seem to have tripped quite a lot away from the DUP, right? Because you see, people in Ireland, yeah, I don't think, yeah, that they actually want to go back to the late 70s and 80s. Right, where where they're in Northern Ireland, and you open up your front door and you've got people flinging, they're flinging rocks after, paramilitary forces, and they're shooting plastic bullets at them, right? And then you've got watchtowers and you've got roadblocks, right? I don't think they want to see, right, buses getting hijacked and burnt out, right? That's what the DUP want. Because that's where the DUP right are looking to take this, because they know, right, that by them not joining in Stormont, because obviously they're going to be pissed because the First Minister is going to be from Sinn Féin. Now, I think they've shared it before, but I'm not sure whether or not Sinn Féin has had the First Minister solely by themselves before, and that's what I think it is this time. So I think well, I don't know if the DUP. I think they might have the deputy, but whatever. But right, I know that they are seriously pissed, but they should only be pissed at themselves, because they've only got themselves to blame. There is nobody else to blame for their situation other than themselves. They walked into this situation, right, and it's down to them, right, for them to try and get their voters back, right. What they need to do is they need to stop acting like idiots. That's the first thing they need to do, and they need to get their ass back into Stormont, because right now, yeah, the people of Northern Ireland are not being represented by government, because these arses, yeah, are playing politics. Yeah, they're playing politics with politics, right? And I can't stand when because they do this in America. They do these politicians do this in America. But when they're ready, they just shut the government down in America, and the people are the people who suffer, while these guys are playing their nonsense. So that's what the DUP are doing. They're playing this nonsense, right, where they should right, really be trying to get their voters back, because before long they're going to lose more voters than they know, and they're going to be right. They'll be the third party, right, in Northern Ireland. Right. And that's when that's when they might even be even more dangerous, when they're the third party in Northern Ireland. So we'll have to hope that situation plays out a bit better, right? And the EU has said, start being honest with voters about the Irish protocol, says the EU to the UK. Be honest with people. Tell them how much of a deal you fucked up, right? And the whole of the Irish protocol, right, is down to the UK. Remember, the EU didn't want Brexit. They just had to make the most of it, right? What happened? They just had to make the most of it, and they got themselves ready. And the people who didn't get themselves ready was the UK. Never got itself ready for none of this. That's why everything is in a complete mess, because they never got themselves ready for it. And that's why now the EU just say to them, listen, be straight with your voters. Tell them, right, exactly what the situation is. You have caused these situations yourself. Sorry, right? There's no, right, we all knew, right, you're putting up borders in Ireland, right, it's going to be a major problem. Right? The stupidity that people have shown over this situation is just like, you know what, it's just ridiculously stupid. And Lord Frost claims the EU doesn't understand the history of Northern Ireland. These people are in power. These people are in power. Lord Frost claims the EU doesn't understand the history of Northern Ireland. Now, out of the EU, right, and England, who do you think doesn't understand the history of Northern Ireland? You see, I don't like Tony Blair. I think he's a war criminal. He's a murderous scumbag, right? Who should have gone straight to The Hague and should be spending the rest of his life in prison, along with George W. Bush, right? But he was a fantastic politician, other than obviously the war in Iraq, and the PFI or contracts or whatever that was, right? But he's the one who come up with the Good Friday Agreement, right? And obviously him and Mo Molan, there's loads of there's a lot of others, but Tony Blair was the person who really took the situation in Ireland by the bollocks, right, and started to squeeze the fuck out of it, right? So Tony Blair, in that sense, right, is a big beast when it comes to politics. Boris Johnson, right, was warned, do not play around with the Good Friday Agreement. Warned, right, from way back, 2017. Right, messages went out to that's why Theresa May was trying to stay in obviously the customs union and the single market with her deal, but they were saying, oh no, we don't want that. We want complete breakaway, so our businesses can have a load of red tape put in front of them, so make it hard for them to do business in the EU because we don't like blacks, Asians, or anyone who speaks in a foreign language. In fact, we don't like anybody. Yesterday when I was speaking about the beginning of the gentry losing, I forgot to put the Irish in there, right? Because obviously the Irish was like some of the first immigrants into this country, right? Because remember, right, it was no Irish, no blacks, no dogs, right? So I forgot to put the Irish in there yesterday, right? As to a reason as to why they wanted immigrants to start coming to this country so that they could listen. I've gone off on that one, haven't I? I'm supposed to be talking about what is the history, right, of Northern Ireland, right? So Lord Frost, right, has the cheek to say that the EU doesn't, even though they was warned, do not play with the Good Friday Agreement. But that wasn't enough for them. They had to go on like as if they're some big beast, right, inside politics, right, when they're all very lightweights. They're featherweights when it comes down to like someone like Tony Blair. All of these guys, they're all featherweights when it comes down to, when it really comes down to it. Tony Blair's head was turned by George Bush, and and by a flight by an American flight jacket. Right, that's what Tony Blair was fooled by. Right, Boris Johnson has been warned he risks EU sanctions with his assault on the Human Rights Act. I believe that could be having to do with something, sending people to Rwanda. See, so it could actually work against him, because if he gets sanctions from the EU, which obviously that's not going to be nice, right? We get sanctions from the EU, right, for sending, right, less than 10% of people, that come over, on little boats away, then that would be like, that would be quite funny actually. That would be really funny actually, to be honest. It would be really, really funny if that happened to him. Anyway, guys, look, I've got to wrap this up because I've gone 30 minutes again, and I didn't really want to go that long. I'm supposed to be doing 15-minute videos. Right, but anyway, this is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.